Hi, everyone. My name is Mel Murphy. I'm a professional separation and divorce coach living in Ireland, but I coach people all over the world. So, this week, what I'm going to be talking about is people who are thinking of separating or divorcing, but they haven't made that move yet. And why would they want why would they want to work with a separation or divorce coach when they haven't even gone through their divorce yet? So, I'm going to take you through a few of my clients that I've worked with. So one of my clients, Sharon, she is what you might call a high net worth client. So she comes from an upper middle class background, and she is very secretive about the fact that she and her husband are pretty much separated secretly because it just would not go down well in her social circle if she was to let on. Her family don't want to hide it. She doesn't want her kids to be impacted by it. She doesn't want them talking about it in school. She doesn't want them to be ostracized by her other friends. She doesn't want to be ostracized by society either. I don't know if that's like that in a lot of other cultures, but in Ireland, being divorced is not always accepted. So she came to me because basically what was happening is that she and her husband had different bedrooms, and he was traveling a lot for his job, so he was hardly ever there. He did have another secret place he was living in Ireland, and had another life basically, but they didn't want to let the kids know. So, they had agreed, um, basically wanted to agree a parenting plan where they could basically, he could still see the children, they could see each other and look like a family unit at the situations and the different events that they had to, family events or some social events, and in front of the children, but otherwise kind of live their own lives. And they wasn't sure if they were actually ever going to separate or divorce, and that was fine. You don't have to, separate or divorce. There's a lot of couples who actually maybe live almost separate lives married, and don't, ever go their own ways, and they just decide to do that. But she knew the situation was that as the children got older, it was more and more likely that they would end up probably separating or divorcing, and she wanted to just be prepared for that. She was also emotionally upset about the situation and just needed someone to talk to. They also wanted to know if the children did find out somehow, what would they say to them? There's different things you can say at different ages. And she also wanted to understand, financially, what would be her situation. So I'm not a lawyer, but, I can sort of recommend different lawyers I've worked with, and also what did she want in her life too? So that was where my whole life coaching experience came in. What did she want to do with her own life outside of this difficult situation? Where did she want to go? She kind of had a bit of freedom now, if they're living sort of separate lives, to take her life elsewhere. So she'd had kind of a career beforehand in the arts, and decided to go back to that just part-time, or she got a job doing hours that suited, where she could still take care of her children, but she sort of had her own little income coming in and her own thing, and she felt a lot more fulfilled. So things like that. Then I had Sean. He came to me. He was really, really upset with how his relationship was going. He felt that his wife was not the woman he had married. She'd become a major nag. They had gone to couples counseling, but he felt that the counselor had kind of attacked him a lot more. He was really trying to make changes to make his wife happy, but no matter what he did, she didn't seem to be happy. The counselor said that because his wife was looking at leaving him, unless he changed, the counselor was focusing a lot on him and his changes, but he sort of felt that his needs were not being met, um, and what he wanted wasn't being met. Um, he also, there was cultural issues too. His wife came from a culture where, there wasn't the same kind of hugs or expressions of love that he was used to in his family and growing up. And he just felt that he needed more of that, and it wasn't something that she was used to giving. So there was a lot of different issues there what I was counseling him on was, if that counselor wasn't working for them, it might be necessary to try and find someone else. But it was also just kind of working through, his current situation, if they were to go through a separation or divorce in the future, what would he need to get ready for that? He wanted a cooperative style of separation. He wanted to try and do something that wasn't maybe in the legal area, but where they went through a cooperative lawyer and agreed things together. He really wanted to be there to support his children and, take care of them 50-50. And, how would I was working with him on a financial plan of how he and his wife would be able to support two homes, and how would they support childcare? Like, so by doing a 50-50, was there a way they could reduce their childcare fees because of different working styles? And just supporting him through getting ready if he was to go through separation and divorce. He wanted to do it in a way that was going to be as friendly as possible. How was he going to tell the wife? How was he going to tell the kids? What was he going to say to family and friends? What to expect in terms of feedback from family and friends? Because it can be very difficult to take their feedback on. Which friends does he think would stay with him versus his wife? What's he going to set up to support himself in that situation? If he does leave and is getting attacked by all sides by everyone, what is he going to put in place for himself to make sure that he doesn't crumble during that time? What hobbies is he going to have? What mental stability is he going to put in place to help him with that? And that's what a coach is there for the person as they're going through that difficult time, as someone to lean on. Then another client of mine, Nicole, she has been dealing with a mean husband, I guess, for many, many years now. She's been thinking of leaving him. It's kind of like emotional abuse. She can't really figure it out. So she's kind of suggested she go to Women's Aid to get some specialist expertise in that area. She just doesn't want to leave because she doesn't want to leave the comfort, I guess, of the home. She doesn't want to be in a financially difficult situation because she gave up her own career many years ago for her children, and she doesn't feel, I guess, the way her husband is talking to her, he's making her feel that if she left him, she would be financially in a very difficult place because he's put the house in his name, he's got all this other stuff in his name, and she wouldn't get anything. And so for that reason, I talked to her about that, about what she could do, what kind of career counseling she can get, and I help with her. I do career counseling as well. How could she support herself financially? Is there a small job she can start now that the children are older, so she can start getting her own money and feeling a little bit more her own person as well? And where could she progress to if she was to get more money? So I kind of help her with that. She's not ready to leave yet, and some people just aren't, and that's Women's Aid, because I've used them as well in the past. Help in that too. They're just there to support you and help you until you are ready to finally make that move. And then Justine as well as another client of mine. So she feels in a very precarious situation. Her husband actually left her and then came back, and she had two young children, and she tried really hard to make sure this relationship is going to work because she's scared that if he leaves her, what's her financial situation going to be? She doesn't want to have a broken marriage. She really wants really hard for this to work. So she's working very closely with a marriage counselor. They kind of made it through the marriage counselor, really helped them. But she's a little bit unsure as to what the future holds for them, really. She still hasn't gotten that stability back. So she just needs someone to talk to. She just wants to understand, if anything did happen, what can she do to protect herself and the children, and have a plan B, I guess, just in case it ever happens again. So these are people who they're not ready to leave a relationship yet. They're trying to make it work, and they just need that support, as well as a couples counselor, just someone for themselves as well, just to make them feel stable. And that's actually going to help the relationship itself. And that's where I come in as a counselor before they actually, and I don't want people to divorce or separate. I think it's much better if people can work things out. I've seen so many different relationships go through the worst of times and come out okay the other side. So I definitely support people in trying to stay together, in going for couples counseling, and in trying to find something that's going to fulfill their lives in the meantime while they're going through this up and down. I help people with their own well-being, supporting them mentally and physically, financially, if they're worried about that, and just kind of helping them find a life that's a bit more fulfilled, which is going to make them feel so much better and help their relationship as well. So that's in the pre-divorce, pre-separation stage that I'm helping people. So I hope you understand a little bit more about what a divorce and separation coach does. Thank you.